video, we are going to have a look at how to assess the speed of your landing page. As you all know, that the speed of the landing page plays a critical role in helping your page convert better. So, in order to determine the speed of your page, you would go to your browser, whether that's Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Opera, right-click and click on Inspect. Once this window loads up, you would head to the Lighthouse section and click on Generate Report. Now, as you can see, the system actually gives me two options to generate a mobile device report and a desktop report. For the purposes of this experiment, I've created a desktop report for Stripe, which is a leading payment processor in the world. Now, the reports come back, and as you can see, that the score is 66 out of 100. There's a series of metrics that the report's pulled up, in addition to some diagnostics data, which you can use to improve the speed of your site. So first, going through the matrix. The first contentful paint happens at 2.2 seconds, which means it takes 2.2 seconds, as you can see in this picture here. It takes 2.2 seconds for the first version of the page to start painting itself. And the time to interactive is 7.1 seconds, which means if your page has interactive elements like a drop-down menu, some slideshows, some carousels, accordions, or playing code, these are all interactive elements most likely powered by JavaScript. So it takes 7.1 seconds for these elements to become interactive on the page. So again, that's a long time for the page to load. So then the Lighthouse report also gives you some recommendations on what are the things you can fix straight away to improve the speed of your site. So for an example, it says that ensure the text remains visible during the web font load. There's some other challenges. For an example, reduce the impact of third-party code. So obviously Stripe loads the Google Tag Manager and the Google Analytics code, which again, they can possibly do something about reducing the loads, minimize main thread work. So the work that the main thread does during the loading could be reduced by asynchronously loading some of these JavaScripts or some of these other scripts. It also looks at, the DOM size, for an example, whether the developers can do something to reduce the excess DOM size. A lot of these static assets like your images, your CSS files, your JavaScript can be cached and have a long cache time, so that whenever a user comes back to the site, they're not necessarily served a new version of the file, and the website doesn't have to go back and forth to download the new version of the file. So again, the score is 66 out of 100. We're going to look at one of the other websites, which is the Bridgestone Tires. We're going to look at a report for Bridgestone Tires for a mobile device. Remember that the mobile traffic, 50% of the clicks now originate in Google and remain in Google, but at the same time, more than 70% of the traffic for most websites would be mobile traffic. Google's also switched to mobile-first indexing for a lot of the sites that have high traffic. So that means that Google is placing a lot more emphasis on mobile crawling. So at the same point in time, it is important that you focus on improving the speed of your landing pages and specifically target the landing pages towards a mobile viewer. Now, you can see that this scores come back for Bridgestone Tires. The first contentful paint at 2.6 seconds, and time to interactive is at a massive 18.5 seconds. There's a lot of challenges here. For an example, off-screen images are not being deferred. What you could do for that is you could lazy load the images if you're using a common system like WordPress or Drupal. Obviously there are plugins that could do that. Serve images in next-gen format. Google suggests that you do that in WebP, which is a Google proprietary, not really a Google proprietary, but something that Chrome understands, but not Firefox. So it's obviously asking you to reduce the, in a sense, it's asking you to reduce the size of the images. It's also asking you to minify JavaScript. A few of these things that you can shoot off to your developer who would be possibly able to take care of some of these things. Now, what happens if the speed of the website is slow? So Google's built this nice impact calculator, and you could actually jump into your analytics and get some of this data from your analytics report. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, if you had 1,000 visitors that came to your site, the conversion average of, let's say, 2%, and the average order value, let's say, was $55, you are losing. So potential increase in annual revenue when you improve your site speed from 3.1 seconds to 1.6 seconds is $865 US. Let's say for a large site, if that number was 50,000 and the average order value was $110, and the conversion rate was a little bit lower, that's an average of $56,000 that the site can gain simply by improving the speed of the site. So as you can see, by halving the speed of the site, you can dramatically improve the amount of return you can get for your traffic. So a most important thing, focus when you build a landing page, try and focus on what elements of the landing page are required on the page and what elements of landing page could be done away with. Everything on the landing page should be there for a purpose, and if it's not serving a purpose, then it can actually be gotten rid of.